Hi, and welcome to the iConvex web development process tutorial. The purpose of this tutorial is threefold. Number one, to help you to set realistic expectations during the development of your website. Number two, to establish a common set of terminology regarding each stage of the process. This will help us to better communicate with you about each of the current stages at any given time. And number three, to answer frequently asked questions about our development process. Here's a snapshot of the major development stages. First, there's a pre-designed questionnaire, then mock-up, creation, then storyboard and content, then coding, and finally go live. Here's a structure outline of each of the following slides. At the top, you see the stage number and number of business days. Then you'll see two sets of actions, those taken by you and those taken by iConvex, and they're presented in sequential order. First stage in the development process is stage 1A. This usually takes between 3 and 4 business days. It starts with you signing and returning the proposal that we sent to you. We receive the proposal and at that point start the pre-designed questionnaire. The design questionnaire allows you to give us input and feedback regarding the type of website you'd like to have. You might include adjectives about the site you want to see, or even examples of other sites that you like. You'll fill it out and return it to us, and then at that point we'll begin work on the first draft of your design mock-up. The mock-up is really a static image. It's not an actual working site at this point. It's not clickable and nothing really works. In fact, the content might look like Latin or something else. It's not the content you'll have on your final site. But the mock-up is an opportunity for us to come to an agreement on how your site will look once it's completed. You will start by reviewing the mock-up that we create and let us know, how does it look so far? Does anything stand out that needs revising? And you'll request any changes to the design mock-up if needed and send those to us. We will make the changes and give it back to you for final approval, or as you can see by the broken arrow here in this diagram, you can send it back to us and we will make another set of changes, and this process can repeat itself as many times as necessary until it looks the way you want it, exactly the way you want it to look. Then once it's approved, we'll move on to stage 2. At this point you will submit to us the content storyboard. This is a file that might be a PowerPoint or a Word file or some other file that your computer can use. And we will submit this file to you and you will then fill it out and give it back to us. Roughly there will be one page of the file for each page of your site. You will provide the content to us in that form. Once we receive that content storyboard from you, we will develop an HTML prototype of your site. This is one that's a little bit more of a working site than the mock-up is, but still not a fully functional website at this point. You will review this and again send it back to us once you have approved it. At stage 3, we will actually work on the coding of your site. Coding simply refers to our creation of the programming or development language that's actually used to create your site, and that allows it to be read by web browsers and be hosted on a server. And once the coding stage is complete, this is the final version of your website. You'll have one more chance to review and approve it, and we'll move on to stage 4, which takes about a day or less, which is actually loading your site onto a host server, and that server allows your site to be accessible at the public internet at the URL or web address of your choice, and you'll be enjoying your new site. Now, some folks also contract with us to do ongoing support, and that will just depend on your contract, but either way, you'll be enjoying your site here at stage 5. Here's 5 frequently asked questions that we get, and we'd like to answer them here to help you understand the process better. First question is, we sometimes are asked, why would I be asked to provide you, iConvex, with information about my design preferences before the project begins? Isn't that your job? And the answer to that question is, well, yes, it's definitely our job to create a creative look and feel for your site, but there are so many possible ways to have a website look that we really want it to be in alignment with your vision. So we ask you to present us with the pre-designed questionnaire, and to fill it out completely, and that gives us a much better idea of what you want, and doing that will reduce the number of revisions that occur during the mock-up phase. It will also give you a much better chance of ending up with a site you really want. Number 2, under what circumstances would my project's total turnaround time, or deadline, exceed the initially promised time? And our response to that is that your target completion date will probably not be changed during the project, but it could be changed if certain things happen. For example, if we send you something to review, like a mock-up or even the HTML prototype, and you take longer than a day or two to get back to us, that might push back the deadline. But it's important, of course, that you take your time to review the changes, but just understand that if you take more than a few days, it could actually push the deadline back and your site might go live later than you might have thought. Number 3, how quickly do I need to get back to iConvex with my revision requests and approvals? And again, that has to happen the sooner the better. And you can take as long as you like. And of course, like we said earlier, it's important that you review the changes and review what we send you carefully and with as many people in your organization as necessary to move things forward. But the quicker you get it back to us, the quicker things will be moving on their way. Question number 4. Who will create the actual content? And we touched upon this earlier. In most cases, you will actually be creating your own content. Of course, content means the text or words on the pages of your site. You will create that and submit it to us in the content storyboard that we mentioned earlier. And again, we will provide you with that file as a blank template file. And you will give that back to us, and we will be able to populate your site with that content. And one of the other questions we get a lot is, will I ever have any additional charges for my site? And the answer is, well, there will never be any additional charges unless there are changes requested by you or additional functionality or additional pages or things that you'd like once the project has been signed off and gotten underway. So if you make a new change request that's significantly different or adds functionality or additional pages or other elements of the site that were not included in your original proposal, of course that would increase the cost in most cases. Other than that, though, we will never actually charge you anything more than our original proposal unless we get written approval from you during the process. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact iConvex at this URL, www.iconvex.com, or call us at 800-360-2841.